As you might know already, always the time where one fusion ends and another one is about to start, this kind of in-between fusions period, there's never really much to talk about, there's barely any news, there's barely any content in that sense. And yesterday I was writing down the guide for one of the new champions, that is the epic champion, GHOMM YELLOWHAND, which is part of the Titus fusion, but in case you're not going to be able to fully finish the fusion and you're like an early mid-game and you won't be able to finish the fusion, but you will be able to get one of the copies of the epic champion that's part of the fusion, I thought that okay, let's talk about this champion, see what he can do for your account. Is he any useful? Is he complete trash? Let's have a look at him. Hi, Senda here and welcome to another raid video. In this case, it's not going to be a fully fledged guide. I just wanted to make a video to talk a bit about this champion so you have an idea what is he capable of. I'm not going to level him to 60 because I don't need it. I need him, but it's only going to be for the fusion. As you can see, if we go to the fragment fusions, we have here GHOMM YELLOWHAND, which is the champion we're going to talk about today, but he is part of the Titus fusion. I need 4 copies, I have 3, but obviously I'm not gonna level it to 60 because I don't need to for anything at all, because I'm gonna eat him because I want to get Titus. But like I said, you might not be able to get Titus, but you might be able to get a copy of this guy along the way. And I just wanna talk a bit about what is he capable of. What is his role? Is he any good? Is he worth leveling, especially if you're in the early and mid-game stages of the game? It's fairly easy. I mean, if you just play a couple of dungeons, you do arena, you level up some gear, you'll get at least 1 copy, at least 100 fragments, and with these 100 fragments you will be able to summon at least 1 copy. So I thought it was worth just talking a bit about him. Here we have him, GHOMM YELLOWHAND. In terms of stats, I always like reviewing the stats just so you have an idea of what kind of numbers we're talking about. It's nothing crazy in any department, nothing crazy in HP or attack or defense. He's a support type champion. But as a support type champion, I think he's pretty decent. He's not going to be on the top of the best epics in the game, but I think he can help some accounts in faction wars, in certain waves, and in certain bosses, because he does bring quite a lot of interesting things to the table. Normally, support type champions, you have 2 or 3 types. You have the ones that are designed to annoy the enemies, or the ones that are designed to help the allies, or kind of something in between. There's a couple of champions that fill this in-between role, and this is the case for GHOMM. We start with an A1 that is going to be able to apply leech and heal reduction. Leech is fairly nice to have. All bosses, you can place it on all bosses, and it's gonna allow our champions to slowly heal health as we hit the enemy with the leech. The bigger the damage we deal to the enemy, the bigger the amount of heal we receive. So it's something quite nice to have, to be slowly, regenerating health. And on the other side, we have heal reduction, which is not as versatile. Not all bosses need this mechanic, but for example, if you're stuck, like an early or mid-game player stuck leveling up or climbing through the spirit keep, this boss, when it's his turn, automatically heals half health. So unless you have a crazy amounts of damage, it's going to be a bit of a pain. And in this case, GHOMM has an interesting A1 that is able to apply heal reduction, and that is going to be useful for that. He's also going to be maybe useful on the easy mode of Amius in the Curse City, because this is a mechanic that we also need to place on the boss, and he's able to do it on the A1, so pretty decent skill. And like I said, they're both on the A1, the chances is not crazy, I mean 30%, with books goes to a 50%, but we attack 2 times, so chances are that we might be able to apply one of the 2, or luckily both of them, and they don't hurt, and they work for pretty much every boss, so it's not solid, but it's not bad either, it's a decent A1. On the A2, we have the support part of the kit of this champion, giving some sort of benefit to our allies. We place a 30% increase speed for 2 turns and a 15% continuous heal. 2 decent buffs. They're pretty versatile for all type of content. It makes our champions faster, and we heal them in case of need, so pretty okay skill. And the A3 is probably the most interesting, the more, I don't know, versatile in a sense, but that we're probably gonna want to use more, and it's similar to the skills of other champions. Basically it's telling us that attacks all the enemies, decrease the turn meter of all enemies by 15%. It's not too much, but a 15% every helps, and 50% chance of placing a stun on all enemies for 1 turn. This is solid, this is okay. With books, this skill goes down to 3 turns. We have a 75% placing stun. It's not 100%, I mean we're talking about an epic champion that is also free because it's pretty easy to get at least 1 copy, but it's gonna help us to manage waves in Doom Tower, in Faction Wars, in Curse City, if we have any problem getting to the boss in any of the dungeons, maybe even in Arena if we don't have any other type of control, but it's an okay skill. I mean, we can compare it, of course there's gonna be a difference because we're gonna talk about a mythical champion, but the A2 of the second form Omikage attacks all enemies as well. In this case it places a stun, there's no percentage, so she's gonna do it guaranteed, more or less, because you need accuracy and you need to not land a weak hit. But in this case, GHOMM is void affinity, so the chances of hitting a weak are only 3%, so it's much more doable that you're gonna stun the enemies if it falls in this 75%, and also decreases the turn meter of all the enemies 30%, and GHOMM is only 15. So as you can see, there is similar skill, but obviously this is much better because he's a mythical champion, and of course he's a much more powerful champion. But you get a bit the idea. I mean, Mikae is also these 2 roles in one. One role is gonna be applying buffs, positive for the allies, and the other part, I mean in the other form, is going to do the opposite. It's going to be applying a lot of debuffs that are going to be annoying the enemy. So GHOMM is similar in a sense, but is the same role, as in what is he designed to do. So in A3 that is going to be pretty solid, and like I mentioned, versatile for a lot of different parts of the content. And as a passive that is not bad, it's not going to be mind-blowing either. Every time an ally is attacked, fills this champion's turn meter by 5% once per attacked ally. So basically if it's himself and 4 other allies, he's going to be increasing his turn meter by 20% maximum until, you know, the allies get another turn or he gets another turn. So it's a little help, it's not going to be crazy, but you know, it's a passive that is better having it than not having it. Finally, an aura, 25% attack in all battles. Not bad. I mean, it's for all the allies and it's in all battles, so it's pretty solid. And you can see it's not going to be the best epic, but it's a usable champion. Now, in terms of gearing, how do we gear? What masteries? What relics in case you're gonna have? And since I do have the champion, but I'm not gonna level him up, I'm gonna show you based on exact same type of champions that fill the same exact role. For something a bit more end game, in terms of stats, we're looking at something similar to this. We're looking for HP, we're looking for defense, but mainly we're looking for speed and accuracy. Speed, because if we're able to go faster than the enemies, we can attack first, and if we attack first, we can apply that crowd control that we're going to do in the A3, and accuracy because we need to land debuffs. We need to be able to lower the turn meter and to apply the stun. So we're going to need accuracy. How much accuracy? I mean, you don't need, for example, I'm going to show you an extreme case, which would be Fabian. You don't need 577 accuracy. You don't need that because normally on PvE, you don't need any more than 350 accuracy. But in terms of stats, it's similar more or less. We're going to be focusing, as you can see, HP, defense, speed, and accuracy. Crit rate, crit damage, resistance, attack, that's not going to be important because we don't... I mean, the role of GHOMM is not to deal damage, is to control waves and apply debuffs. That's about it. So for that, we need accuracy, speed, and everything else that is going to help him survive even better. In terms of sets, there's some big combination. You can use, I mean, pretty much any of these works. Speed, perception, pinpoint. Like you can see, it's giving us accuracy, it's giving us speed, so all of these are going to be helping. Feral is also a usable set, it's also a pretty solid one. Even if we manage to get all 9 pieces, allies deal 5% more damage per debuffs placed by the wearer, which means we're able to apply 3 debuffs at max at the best case scenario, which is 2 on the A1 and 1 on the A3. So we'll increase 15% the damage of our allies, so it's solid. But there is other options, probably that is going to be a more realistic way of gearing him, and it's going to be very similar to Deacon Armstrong. As you can see, it's a very simple set: speed, perception. Like I said, you can also use accuracy if you don't have good solid perception, but in terms of stats, again, you can see a similar pattern: HP, defense, speed, and accuracy. We could even try to push for slightly more accuracy, but with 300, I think it's okay. In terms of, let's go to the collection. On the chest plate, I'm using defense. I don't think you need to go for full accuracy. If you manage to get with sets and substats around 300, 350 max accuracy, but that's more or less what you're aiming for, because again, Deacon Armstrong fills exactly the same role of support / controlling / protecting allies. In terms of masteries, I would probably go for something like Mikage, because we do very similar things. So with these two here, we're looking for maximum accuracy, and then these we're trying to get extra damage if we have full health and so on, going till the end with the War Master, just to get extra damage against bosses, nothing else. If we are very, very low in terms of accuracy, we could even go for Eagle Eye, but I think War Master is a good choice if you choose to go for full masteries. I don't think it needs. It's not a champion that is going to be so good that you're going to be using everywhere, but until you get something to control waves, like, I don't know, Mikage, or Armand's is also very similar, or, I don't know, Warlord, or Fabian, something that you're going to be using to control waves, to put them to place a stun and making them lose a turn. All of this is going to be helpful. In terms of relics, we can go for example, not this one, but something like this. The Tempus Sanguinis, I think it can be pretty useful because with the wearer's turn meter reduction effects are boosted by 15%, which means we're going to be decreasing even more turn meter on the enemies, which is also health. And it's a rare relic, we're going to be getting a lot of these, and I think is one that at least it matches, and it's going to work pretty good with his kit. Other than that, I think that's a quick overview of GHOMM. What is he capable of, how do you gear him, what relics, what masteries, and like I mentioned, his role is going to be controlling waves in pretty much any content. You could put a lot of accuracy, a lot of speed, same way I did with my Fabian, and put him on arena. He can be kind of a controller also on the arena, but like I said, it's not going to be the top meta, but the fact that it's a solid, the fact that it's a void champion makes him, like, it gives him extra points because he cannot weak hit. Anyways, that's all for me today. I thought you found this slightly, I don't know, didactic, interactive. You learned a bit about support type champions, how to use them, how to gear them. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more videos like that. Over there, I'll leave a recommended one, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.